What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Stereo Therapy. I'm your host, Lisa, and this is episode 93. So, the first question to get out of the way, are you guys loving this new theme song? For a while, I've been wanting to figure out how can I have a theme song, and again, you can go on a million sites and like pick something, but how can I kind of involve people that have been on the show to further support an artist? And it was so wonderful. Walwin reached out to us. We love Walwin so much. So I was so excited that he reached out because it was just like, yeah, he got it. I said like a couple things and I was like, you do your own thing. But I love our new theme song and I think it's so fitting. So just before we talk about our wonderful guest today, I wanted to say shout out to Walwin. We love you. I love the track. I think it's perfect. And I hope you guys do too. We finally got one. Finally. But today on the show, I was joined by Crossing Eyes and Dotting T's. I was so excited that Matt, Nye, and Max wanted to join me. We've been wanting to do this for a while. The minute I heard this band, I know they were on the JMXP podcast. I was like, I need to have this band on my show because they encompass every single sound that I've loved of music in that 90s alt grunge, but in a different way, right? It's not just like a carbon copy and cut. I think it's a modern way to have that 90s sound that we all loved. And I think the best thing about it is the non-perfection side of it, but it's perfect in its own way. I think that's the best way to describe Crossing Eyes and Dotting T's, at least on my end. I immediately loved Matt, Max, and Nye. And I think I love having the personalities of being able to throw hot takes. There's some hot takes in here. And I love that. I love when there's that comfort on both sides of it to be like, yeah, let's have some hot takes. There's so many great takeaways in this one. I don't want to take any more time doing this introduction, but please go check out the band below. All links below. Go check them out. I'm telling you, there are so many people I know that listen to the show week to week, or I know personally that may click on this, that you will love this band. I am so excited about this. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I absolutely did. And again, go check them out in all the links below. But let's just get into it. Here's my conversation with Matt, Max, and Nye of Crossing Eyes and Dotting T's. Well, thank you guys for wanting to come on. I know for a while we've been wanting to do it and then like just stuff comes up. So I appreciate you guys being flexible too and like making time for it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh
you.
my God. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll just get started too, because I know, it's Sunday. It's before, you guys have been playing some shows too. You got a lot going on. But so just for the listener, because it is audio only, if you just want to say who you are in the band so they can like say, okay, that's Max, that's Nye, that's Matt.
Max started.
Me? Okay. Well, yikes. Okay. I am Max. I play the bass.
That was tough.
Among
Matt.
many
no,
other
no,
things.
no, 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 no. I want to go now.
Okay. Right.
I'm Matt.
Sorry.
I'm Matt. I'm vocals and rhythm guitar.
I'm Nye. I play lead guitar and sometimes sing background vocals.
So the first question we always ask everybody, just because it's so great to hear everybody's unique way, but how did you guys first fall in love with music? Was it like a record, a time, or just any experience that made you say, hey, there's a deep connection here with music?
For me, it was the classic parent got you into it. My dad was big into music, still is, very eclectic sound variety. But he got me into like Counting Crows, like the Wallflowers, a lot of like 90s-esque bands, then just everywhere from like we used to listen to Nickelback and stuff like that. So he got me into just music in general. So for me, that's like the earliest recount of that I can recall of loving music was that.
Oh, that's so, yeah, a lot of people say their parents, and it makes sense for me. Like for me, that's how I discovered like Nirvana or the Smashing Pumpkins. My parents were so into that, and I know that's how I found my path. So I can absolutely relate to that for sure. And what about you, Nye?
Sorry, I was muted there. I similarly, it was family, but I grew up the youngest of 8 kids. So I had a big family and it was a big spread of different ages. And so growing up, there was I think an instrument in every single room because every one of my siblings played and my parents played different instruments. So that was just kind of something I grew up around. And then for whatever reason, my oldest brother had an electric guitar in his room, and I just always gravitated towards that and just like rock music and just that sort of thing was what always caught my attention. Even he has stories of me when I was 2 years old, just like running into his room before he could stop me just to try and grab his guitar. He'd have to like hold me back and kick me out of his room. but yeah, just always been around it and always loved it, really.
Oh, I love that. And what about you, Max?
Here we go. All right.
And in 1 hour or less, Max.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we start the clock or what? Because this is gonna take a while. No, where I'm from, there is just like a huge hardcore punk local scene, and that's just like, oh my goodness gracious! That was what we just did as kids, was like go to shows and stuff and watch our friends play and stuff. So that was like my upbringing for like aggressive stuff. But then also, my first instrument was the mandolin, interesting enough, and just because of Led Zeppelin. When I was a little kid, I wanted to play mandolin because no one else played it, and so there's like that, the hardcore punk, but then like the mandolin and everything that entices that, which is like country and bluegrass and jazz and stuff, and kind of smushing those two things together turned me into this.
That's so yeah, mandolin. The last time I heard anyone say that on here was the artist Kaylee Goldsworthy. I don't know if you're familiar with her. I know she's
Mm.
out in California now, but she's acoustic. Is yeah, kind of acoustic, but sometimes she has a band. But she started playing that because I think she played with like Frank Turner, and then going on to that, and then now, I mean, recently when we were young, she was on stage with My Chemical Romance playing violin. But she was one of those people like the mandolin was one of those things she found too, and she's like big into like punk music, alternative. So that's really interesting that someone else brought up the mandolin because
Yeah.
nobody
Okay.
ever
Wow.
has. But even talking about your scene a little bit, what is that like, and how special is your music scene to you guys out there in California? Whoever wants to go.
Cool.
Oh.
Yeah, Max. So Max grew up in a different. He's from Ventura area, so it's like way farther past LA. So we don't really ever. We played our first Ventura show like a month or so ago, but LA is kind of our, I guess, local scene. Local scene. It's where Nye's from. It's where I guess Josh from Ventura too, but we play Orange County. I'm from Orange County originally. That's where I still live, but we say LA just because it's where we play our most shows. But yeah, I mean, honestly, LA it's cool. It's hit or miss though. It's kind of a shady town. I don't really
Hey
like
now,
it much.
hey,
I'm gonna be honest. That's why I don't stay
speak for
there.
yourself.
I stay there. I stay
Speak for
out of it. But
yourself.
yeah, no, I mean it's always good just to support and be. We love there's so many local bands that we're huge fans of. But yeah, LA it's great. There's just so much going on here.
Yeah, I visited LA. I don't remember when, like years ago, and it was either, okay, am I going to go to California or New York? Where am I going to go, LA or New York for music? And I remember visiting LA and I was just like, oh, I don't know if this is for me because it just had like this vibe. But I know that there was more to it that I probably didn't explore, but it was just so expensive. And then oddly enough, I'm in New Jersey that's like just as expensive, I've heard, and it's like crazy out here. But I don't know, like I feel like maybe if I dove deeper into LA, I don't, maybe I would have liked it. But there was just something about it. I was like, I don't know if this is for me.
As the person who lives there, actually, LA is a really small scene. Like there's millions of people here, right? But once you actually kind of find your genre, I run a rehearsal studio as well here in LA, and just like everybody knows each other, which is really strange, right? Like you'd think as many people as move here, that you just be lost in a sea of people, but the community is really important here, and I see people a lot, actually, the same people showing up to different events. There is a lot of support here. It is expensive, as you mentioned, but I love it just because even though like everybody has like their own thing going on, there is a general sense of like, okay, we're all here for the same reason. We want to do music. It's very supportive.
Oh, that's awesome to hear because that's so important. I know, like, originally I'm from Illinois. I'll say Chicago. I don't care. Like 40 minutes away from it, but I always say Chicago because nobody knows like Naperville, Illinois. Like nobody knows that. But I think that was one of the special things about being in the Chicago scene for a while was, yeah, everybody knew everybody. Like you'd go into a venue or a VFW, any of those venues, and people knew you, they remembered you. And that's how I kind of was like, all right, I'm going to start a podcast because I miss doing that in the scene and all that. So like that's really cool to hear that. Anything, Max, you want to add about it?
Okay. Well, like LA is so huge. It is huge. Like Los Angeles County is bigger than my imagination. It's gargantuan. And so for me, I never felt like there was like a scene, at least not like there is here in my hometown, right? There's a scene of like friends who do they, but like LA is like too big and oversaturated with musicians where I don't feel like there's a scene, but that's just me. I don't know. But because of that, like there's so much to LA, but there's no sense of like community, which is fine. But that's the difference between like LA and then like a small town where I'm from. So
I mean, again, like now anyone here listening, give LA a chance because I think LA does have that rap where it's maybe people are stuck up or, like for someone not hearing or not visiting LA, they think it's or just celebrities. But according to what you guys are saying, like there's a scene there if you find it. Like there's more to it than what maybe even people where I live think LA is.
Yeah, I think I'm from the country originally, not too far from you actually. I grew up in Iowa,
Okay.
and my family's from Iowa, Nebraska area. So coming here was intimidating at first, but you're absolutely right. Like you just find your people, the scenes exist, but yeah, like Max is saying, it's also a massive. I mean, it's basically its own country is how it acts. So it's really you kind of got to find your scene, find your people. But they're out there.
Well, yeah. And I mean, even thinking about your band, I'm like, man, I didn't have a band making the music that you guys make at all in my scene. It was either hardcore, it was punk. So like hearing a band like you, which I was really excited about because I'm like, oh, that's like my 90s grunge right there. And I'd never heard music really like that in a scene. And I know you guys describe your music as music for emotions. So I would love to know what artists for you, whether it's in your local scene or that you listen to, is that music for your emotions?
Oh my God, so many. But like the ones that like a lot influenced our music was like it's funny. I was just talking about this yesterday. I feel like I say different bands on like every podcast because there's so many. But bands like Have Mercy, In Basement, Sea Haven, Super Heaven, of course, as well from like the 2010 scene, but then also like 90s in the way of emo. Some people don't consider emo like Knapsack and Mineral as well. For like the emotional, real like emotion emo side of things. That's like where I consider like how we're emo, grunge, whatever you want to say. I don't think emo in terms of like My Chem or like Hawthorne Heights emo, which I love as well. But I just think of emo when I'm saying as ourselves being emo, more of like that Mineral type of emo, whereas that 90s just kind of raw mentality, raw production type of stuff. So yeah, for me, it's that.
Yeah, that's interesting because I know nowadays it is. Everyone's emo is my chem. And it's
Yeah,
like, that's okay. But I don't consider them that either, even though I love
yeah,
what they're doing. I'm like, my emo is that, or like Sunny Day Real Estate.
exactly.
That would be mine. It would not be my
Yeah,
chem, Hawthorne Heights. There's another one they always say. I don't know, anything that was on when we were young and they just want to say it's emo.
yeah, yeah.
But
Pop
you
punk,
know,
right? It's emo, but yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's pop punk.
mm,
But it's
yeah.
great. But
And people go after you when you'll say that too. And like any
oh, for
comments,
sure. No,
anytime
for
I've
sure.
said anything I like on TikTok and I'm like, that's not really like, wouldn't consider that emo or even pop punk, my chem pop punk. And they're like,
Yeah.
but it
People don't even
is.
consider, yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't even consider Mineral and them emo. They're like, no, they're just alternative. Like, there's that one saying, it's like emo is strictly the New York hardcore scene in the night. What is that one? I can't remember what it is. It's that I don't know if Max you might know it, but I'll look it up later.
don't even get me started on
I
emo.
know.
Oh, it's
I
not
know.
even a thing. It's not emo. Emo is a myth. How about that? Like because all music's emotional. That's
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. So
Yeah.
now you got me all
Agreed.
hot and bothered. Look what you did.
Yeah.
Got me all upset.
That's a whole other podcast and a conversation I have had like with my co-host Justine when she's here. I'll be like, why are these kids like, and then it's like, especially like younger, even like teens that'll go to when we were young and they'll argue with you. And I'm just like, oh, don't even like, listen, I don't need to have this conversation and like, just table it.
Max thinks everything is just rock and roll though.
You know what? I listen to so much music and I've gone so far down the subgenre hole with like post symphonic black metal and whatever stupid polka music. I don't know. It's just, and then I went full circle. It's all rock. If it has electric guitar in it, it's rock and roll, baby. That's all it is.
That would make a lot of sense though. If people like if you just put it in one group, but then again, there's so many subgenres. So I don't know. Now I have
Yeah,
to think
you
about that.
almost went full circle. I
So,
saw
yeah.
it right there. You know,
Oh no.
it's all just rock, man. That's it. It feels good. It's all just rock.
It's
That's
very
all
freeing.
yeah.
But so Max, what would be in your life your music for your emotions?
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's why I listen to music, 'cause it makes me feel things. Like, it'd be weird if I put that on and I was just numb. Like, oh, I love that. That's not even, that would, I wouldn't trust somebody who does that. No, that's all music is emotional. So how could you say this is emo, this is emotional music, and this is not emotional music? You're getting me started. Look what you're doing.
That'll be
No, because like I always would say Counting Crows, like they're not like they're obviously not considered an emo band, but if you go and listen to all their lyrics, like a lot of those 90s bands, like it's emotional as it's like emotion as all emotion. So it's like I would always like they're emo. But like people are like, I'm like emo's in the lyrics. To me, it's always like in the lyrics and I guess the feel as well. It's somber and like there's so many bands who are emo, but they're not in the it's like so I agree with Max's some things, but at the end of the day, there are different genres. There are.
That's right. That's right. There is no emo. It feels good. That's right. It's all emotional. You listen to the like Third Eye Blind, everyone's like do 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 do.
Yeah.
Doing crystal meth will get you up until you break and don't. So it's about doing meth and like killing yourself and like that's emo. That's like holy guacamole. That will make me break down and cry right there and dance to it. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, Third Eye Blind. That's one of my all-time favorites. And when we did an episode on the 90s, I was like, yeah, when you read some of these lyrics, you're like, what am I dancing to? Or what am I doing? Like if you really listen to them and it's like, yeah, when I was young, I had no business listening to this and bobbing my head and dancing to it.
A great example is Hey Ya by Outkast. Inarguably the danciest song of all time. Saddest lyrics I've ever read in my entire life. Dear Lord. And it even like quote like breaks the fourth wall. It even says like you don't even care about these lyrics. You just want something to dance to. And then Outkast is emo. Outkast, my favorite emo band. I'm saying right now.
Oh, that's it. That's my clip to get anyone like, what is this?
That's your clickbait right there.
There we go. We got to take what we can get with
that's
like
actually just a good clickbait there. People will be like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah.
And then they're gonna find your band and be like, "Oh, okay, cool, that's cool." So
yeah, dude, I'm gonna get us canceled with that quote.
No. If I didn't get canceled for not liking the Black Parade, I don't think.
You like the Black Parade?
I'm more of Three Cheers. I love Three Cheers. I think that's the better and best Mike Ken.
I thought you said you don't like it.
I don't.
But do you not like it, or is it just you don't
I like it. It's not that
It doesn't always handle.
I can't tell you the last time I listened to the record. I maybe listened to it when it came out and I liked it, but it's just is like, again, I couldn't there's maybe one or two songs that I know off it that I'm like, all right, I have heard this in a while, but I shouldn't say I don't like it. It's just not my favorite. But like people now, you'll get canceled.
I get shit for not liking Turnover. I don't like Turnover. And I don't think that album is an emo mat. I don't think it's as good as whatever it says. It's great, but I don't even think it's emo. I don't even think it's just pop. It's just a pop record. But I don't know. So I get a lot of flack for that.
All right, so I'm gonna get us canceled again. I don't even know My Chemical Romance, just know the name. That's right.
That's ridiculous.
Never ever listen to them.
I feel like I feel like this room is full of hot takes because if you were to ask me my favorite My Chemical Romance album, it's actually Danger Days, which is ridiculous. I think I might be the only person in the world that would say that album is their favorite.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anyone really say that.
Nobody likes it, but I love
you
that
edgelord, you look at you.
I know.
There we go. We got hot takes. And what about you, Nye? What is your music for your emotions?
Well, there's been a lot of really good answers already, so I'll just give a few bands as examples of bands I turn to when I need some stability emotionally. I listen to a lot of U2 all the time, like all their decades. Usually I can find a song that's meeting me right where I'm at emotionally. I also am a really big fan of a Scottish band called Biffy Clyro.
Hmm.
Um, Big fan of them, and they always manage to say things in a way that really connects with me when I'm feeling specifically very lost musically and in life. Just I've always learned to turn to music as kind of an orientation of what am I doing, why am I so confused, and whenever I've kind of hit a roadblock, whether personally or maybe musically or just in relationships or whatever's going on in life, those two bands in particular have always been really reliable for me to turn to and kind of right my ship again.
Oh, see, we're getting new artists on this one. This is great because yeah, there's sometimes like yeah, Biffy. I don't think anyone's talked about Biffy Clyro yet,
Oh,
and I haven't heard
I
anyone
love
say
them.
that name, and I think that's such an artist to highlight. So yeah, no, and you too. No one has ever said you too.
Yeah, they're cool to hate, but I love them. They speak to me. So
That's cool. And I mean, even now talking about your music too, obviously November Cold, the video's been out for a while. What was that like creating that video? And what's been the response to it? Because I feel like to me, from the outside looking in, that's like one of the fan favorites of the songs.
Yeah, that was fun. We had seen it getting some attention, and it got like this little TikTok. Somebody posted a TikTok that went, whatever, semi-viral. It got us a lot of streams and a lot of views on our YouTube as well. So we were like, shoot, we were getting like, because it just gets posted on YouTube as the audio, and it had like over 400 like thumbs ups and 10,000 views, and we're like, oh shoot, we should just make a video for this because people obviously just like the song, so we should put a face to it. So we kind of put it together pretty quickly. We just wanted to like basically just put our faces to like the song and just put like our personalities and show people us basically because we haven't really done that before. So it was fun. We literally did it in Nye's apartment where he's at right now. We basically did the whole thing right there, and it was just a full day of work, but it was very fun. And Alex Alex Colmenares he was our buddy who does photography for us. He hooked us up with a guy named Richie Harrington who directed and produced it. And yeah, he killed it. It was like his first time doing a music video too. So we were like, he was giving us, like extra attention. So it was cool. And we got it done and came out great. And now it's been doing really, really well. People love it. People have been commenting, talking to us about it. And yeah, we're just trying to push it as much as we possibly can because we are proud of that song and we see people do like it a lot. So we're like, shoot, let's just ride that as far as we can until our next, album comes out, our next music comes out.
Yeah, no, that's even for me. I mean, that's kind of how I remember when you guys were, or Matt, you were on Jam XP, and there was like they put the music, and I was like, oh, like that's the song for me that made me be like, oh, let me go discover this because I heard like hints for me, like loving Bush. Like I love Bush. I love that thing. It's one of my love Gavin Rossdale, and I was like, I could hear that in that. And then when I saw the video, I could see it, I feel like it just really fit the song a lot, like the imagery of it. And that's pretty amazing that that was their first music video they've ever done
Yeah,
because
good.
it came
Yeah.
out so great.
Yeah, he does all other type of video stuff, but he just hasn't done specifically a music video. So we're like, you're gonna kill it, and he did. Yeah, so we're really happy with it.
Oh, that's
Thank
so, oh, wow. I mean, Nye or Max, do you have anything to add about it?
it was a great experience. Yeah. Um, it was cool to see my apartment turned into a stage, and they were total professionals about it. Like Matt said, they'd done other stuff, and it was I didn't know what to expect specifically because we did throw it together so last minute, and they were just total pros and had everything planned out and took a lot of stress off. So it ended up being a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. And now your apartment forever is in this music video. No matter, what happens, you have it in there. So that's pretty cool too.
Yes, yeah. My wife was like berating me when it came out of like, why didn't you tell me? I would have just moved stuff. Like I would have decorated more or whatever. I was like, it turned out great. I love it.
you.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. We can start with you, Max, for this, but like, So what do you think for you guys being in a band in this TikTok era that it is, and then like, hey, post a snippet of her single. What do you think is the biggest struggle for you guys as a band?
You know what? I just have to pick one thing, man. There's so many struggles. It's hard. Well, like it's just hard work. All of it. Like whether it be creating content, right, and therefore posting and scheduling content. The whole like you have to be like I don't know. Just it's just constant work. You get no rest or anything.
'Cause you have to keep pushing. Like you have
Yeah.
to keep, if you slow down, it's like that's when you see your numbers slow down. You know what I mean? It's like
Mhm.
if you just become complacent, then it just ends up there's just no point. Not no point in doing it anymore, but like if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna, if we're gonna be a band and put all our time into it, like, we're like really focused on just trying to push it. So like a lot of the struggles are getting ourselves to like I do pretty well about posting TikTok. We have like 3 different TikToks that we have. Like Nye has one, our drummer, I don't know where he's at right now. He couldn't make it, he's probably working right now. He has one that we make like these. We have one like obviously Crossing Nye's INT's account, but we have these other kind of sub accounts that we make. There's a little insider information for anybody actually listening, any bands, because this is actually a good advice for them. We do this thing where we did like I call it alt rock now is what I named the profile, and it's not us, it's just a entity, and I just post songs of the days, but I mainly just post like our song, like November Cold a lot because it does well on TikTok. I'll post it as like gym. I'll post like a guy like lifting at the gym and put like gym inspiration music, and it gets a bunch of saves. People listen to it. Then I'll put it as like behind like a race car, like people like that. And, like it has like around like 300 people make videos to it on TikTok already of like them like working out or them skateboarding or them with their cars. It's been big on like those communities. So we've been trying to push it as heavy as we can. But at the end of the day, it's like no one like too much overflood them, but we do that. And we have like I said, another account which has like strictly gym ones. We strictly do like posting for gym because we just seen it like do well in those communities. But yeah, at the end of the day, also which struggles with is just at the end of the day, if you put more money into PR, into digital marketing, that kind of stuff, like you do well. We just don't do any of that. Like we really try to just do it as organically as possible, just because we're not overflowed with money. But if we were, we would do that kind of stuff. But obviously, like a lot of the bigger bands is what they're able to do. They have bigger labels who help them and push them to find booking agents and stuff. Another qualm that I have that we haven't been able to find a good booking agent to help us. That's our next thing. But yeah, there's like Max said, I can go on and on. There's a million things. It's tough, but you got to just keep at it. But we're very grateful that we've been able to see a little bit of success with the album with November Cold. It's been it keeps us going. It keeps me at least very motivated to that people are interested to hear what we have next.
Yeah, that's tough because even me with the podcast, it's like, okay, you got to post or you got to do this. I'm like, no matter what I do, I'm sitting at like this low follower count. And I'm just like, but sometimes you'll get that one hit of like, whether it's a clip or something that I'm like, hey, I really want you to check out this band. But you'll get likes and stuff. I'm like, but do they go to do they go to my content? Do they go to my podcast? And it's like that balance of even me where I'm like, all right, I love the podcast. I love doing it. But man, I would be pissed if I was like a band, and I worked really hard on a song and I'm trying to get it out there. And it's like things like that. Like I feel like the algorithms can either help you or hurt you these days. So it's like, I'm like, we're somewhere in the middle. Like I'm trying to figure it out. So I don't know. But I mean, it sounds like you're trying new things, which is
Yeah.
key. I feel like it too. If you just start posting something and not trying those things, you're probably going to stay at like where I'm at. So maybe now I like hearing that, I'm like, maybe I need to try different things to try and feel like, what can I do to help like this algorithm out?
There's I mean, in my mind, I just don't rely on algorithms anymore. I just feel like there's just no way of beating it or getting on top of it or even getting in it. So I'm just like as organic as possible, like trying to just do things until they work. And we found that TikTok, it's been, I've been doing it for 3, 4 years. Like we found a little success with some things. We get put on Spotify playlists, which helps us, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really do as much as people really think. So we're just trying as as much as we can do things. We also, I used to do a lot of things when we were first starting, like another little thing that I used to tell bands and creators, which it takes a lot of time, but if you have time, it works, is you just go to, big bands like Foo Fighters or whatever you sound like, whatever band you sound like, or if you're a podcast, other bigger podcasts, you just go to their followers, comment obviously on the podcasts or on the band's posts. You like everybody who comments them, because a lot of the times, like, those people will, if you like their comment on somebody's post, like, these people are just, if they're commenting on somebody else's post, they're going to be willing to come and check you out. And a lot of times it worked. That's how we got a lot of followers, honestly, from doing that. Just because I was like, that's an easy way. If these people like that band, they're going to like our band. They just need to see we're here. Because a lot of times there's a million bands, but unless you say, hey, we're here, hey, come listen to it, you know what I mean? Hey,
Mhm.
we're here, like, they're not gonna listen to you. So you gotta do just any little thing to spark their attention without being super annoying, without sending a direct message, saying, listen to this.
Yeah, no, that's so true because that happened with us where I think it was heart support, everything they do with mental health. And I think I just commented, they said something about Slipknot, and I was like, yeah, they're huge advocates. Slipknot, they're really love them or hate them. They are huge mental health advocates. And from that, we got a couple people I could
Yeah,
tell from that. So that thing
exactly.
does work. So anyone listening, like that is important to
Takes a lot
try.
of time. It takes a lot of time, but if you have the time, if you're working remote or whatever it might be, if you have time at the end of your night, 2 hours, while you're getting ready for bed or whatever, like, just go and throw some likes on people's comments or whatever it is. Like, you will get some percentage of people that come and actually listen to you, and it'll give you a little bit of motivation if they save your stuff, if they actually listen to it through or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. Again, I'll make sure like somehow I'll be like, listen to well, listen to the whole episode, but specifically that if you're a band, I feel like that can really help
Yeah.
people out for sure because yeah, I don't think anyone's really said that yet. And maybe they have been doing it, but they didn't think of it on here. But
Yeah.
oh, that's
A
so
lot of people
great.
aren't, if they just don't want to tell other, they want to gatekeep it, which I usually try to do, but I like to tell the people that I like. So that whoever wants to listen to this, if you guys are listening, you get some insider info.
There we go. We got insider. Even me, I'm like, all right, this is great. I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
doing that because that's gonna work for sure.
Well, yeah.
And Nye, do you have anything to add? Any struggle that wasn't said?
Yeah, I actually have to give Matt mad props here because I have a marketing background and design background, and it's something that I very consciously took a step away from because I found it really draining doing the social media thing. I ran people's Instagram accounts, I did all that, and so I love that Matt's so like smart about it and he works so hard at it. I always really appreciate that. But also I think one of the things that is really difficult, just generally speaking, and we had this while we were on the road this last weekend, we were talking about so many ideas. It's not that there's a shortness of ideas, it's just there's a shortness of time to get all the ideas done. So when you're constantly trying to actually be a band and make music, and then you're thinking about like promo or making content or whatever, I feel like maybe pre social media, you could kind of sit on ideas and like work on them as a band and like kind of pull out the best idea. Now you're trying to crank it out every single day. And I think that is one thing that I find really difficult is that output is such it's not for everyone, and it's can be really draining unless you take like really good care of like how you do it because it's just nonstop, or it can feel nonstop, if you have get in the wrong headspace about it.
No, that's so true. And my friend Brian does like emo social club. And so like he was really good about telling me and helping me out where he was like, yeah, I schedule everything because otherwise it'll consume you like the content they put out like multiple times a day and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have the energy for that. So like that is so important, like especially like figuring that out. If you are trying to put out so much content to make sure that maybe you can schedule it and just hit a button and go because otherwise, yeah, no, it consumes me too, where I'm like, I don't want to sit here and like post this like twice a day and annoy people on my FYP. I don't want to do that. Like then they'll get annoyed. But Lots of good stuff, but, like, I appreciate all that. I know other listeners will too, and obviously our podcast is music and mental health, so I would love to know, how has music been an aid to your mental health when maybe other things weren't working? You know, everybody does something for their mental health, but how has music been that aid to each of your mental health?
I mean, I originally started the band to basically get everything off my chest from my cousin that passed away from a rare form of cancer a few years ago. And that was what gave me like basic the motivation to seize a day and actually just make a band. And I was, I always just loved music, but I never played music. I grew up, I played like the saxophone, the trumpet stuff, but I was never a guitar player or anything like that. But I was just wanted to do it. So like a few years ago, I just ended up doing it for that reason and to just get everything off my chest. So for me, it's like everything is like all my lyrics are, like emotional and they're based around some type of whatever I'm feeling. So for me, it always is emotional. It always is emo lyrics, no matter what Max says. I always like try to make it as as emo kind of, not like emo over the top, but just just emotional, just to hit the heartstrings a little bit. So yeah, for me, it really has always just been about like my cousin, really.
Oh, and I'm so sorry to hear about your cousin, and that's so awful to lose anyone, and I can only imagine as you're doing the band, it's almost like, obviously, for him in a way, this is for him and beginning to do
Yeah,
these things, and I think that's what's so beautiful about music is, like, he's no longer here, but probably you can maybe almost, I don't wanna speak for you, but feel like he's right with you as you're doing this.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, and you could hear it, like, all feelings aside, you can when you're singing your lyrics, you can hear the emotion in it. You can hear it where to me, I know that's true emo, when you can really feel those emotions in someone singing, so, yeah, that's why it's so important to push a band like you. Like, I've been, like, so looking forward to this, and, what about you, Max?
Before I even start, I just want to address that shade that was thrown at me for what you said. I'm agreeing with you. We're on the same team. So sorry for yelling. I'm just super sensitive about it. But no, music for me, yikes. I started when I was really young. Just, I mean, a lot of traumatic stuff growing up, man. So it was kind of like this cool little creative escape, right? Like, probably I would assume because, like I said, I was young, just being around a lot of bad stuff as a little kid. It's nice to kind of just go to my room and kind of just mess around and I don't know, kind of create something out of nothing and have fun with it. And there, it's cool because there's no wrong answer, right? You can't play those notes together. Like, yeah, there, you can do whatever you want. It's kind of nice. So it's been one of the few like nice escapes that I've had from shitty things. So
Yeah, no, I love it. I like using it as an escape because I think that's for all of us, right? Like whether you're like just it gives you that escape and that ability to feel things and there's always a song or an artist for what you're going through. Even if you feel like you are alone, you can put on that record or play, right? For you guys, like you can play and process those things. So can absolutely relate to that for sure. And what about you, Nye?
I think my childhood was really isolated. Um, I didn't have, it wasn't even just a case of not having a ton of friends or anything. It was like I just grew up in the country and there was very little to do and there was very few people around me. And so I never really found an external way of finding a place to belong or feeling like a sense of home, really. And that's something that I struggled with for my whole life. So when I found music and continued to find more music, it felt like it was the first place where I could actually say like, "Oh, this is home." Doesn't matter where I'm at physically. Doesn't matter, the space I'm in or where I'm living. Like this is actually where I find myself at home and feel a sense of belonging in a way that really nothing else has ever given me, and it still does that.
I can relate to that so much. Like even moving to New Jersey from Illinois, and I always felt like music was my home. And no matter where I was, that's what I clung to when I moved, right? Not knowing anyone. And it was one of those things that I think, yeah, I can just resonate to that so much because that's how I feel. Like music is that will always be my safe haven and my home no matter what I'm going through. So can absolutely relate to that for sure. Wow. Yeah. I'm like, what do I clip from this? I don't even know. I mean, I know the emo thing for sure. I'm gonna do that
Yeah.
thing. Uh, but,
No, it's also nice for me, like, I don't know, I'll have specific points in my life where I really gravitate to an artist or an album. I don't know, going through something rough, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna listen to this, man. Like, this is what's getting me through. And then I'm a big CD collector, right? So it's cool. I don't know, getting over said problem, but then revisiting that part of music, right? Like a couple years ago, I'll listen to oh, I forgot all about this album. And you're like, oh, and it feels so good. Like I still have that feeling. It's like, man, I remember how much like I loved this at that time, and I like it doesn't ever diminish for me. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Gobble that up. Nom, 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 nom.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, a CD is like that's the thing. That's such a lost thing where like I would buy a CD and like then sit on my floor and read the lyrics and like have the big like it was a Tuesdays or whatever it came out. And now I know people like it's records now, right? But like it's something there was something so special about like having that little CD and what the artist put into like the lyric book or the imagery and things like that. And again, I know people saying records, but not everybody has a record player, right? Like, I guess nowadays, not everybody has a CD player, but I mean,
Nobody has a CD.
you
They're not
know,
even
right?
cars.
More
I
people
know,
have
not even
more people have a
cars.
record player. Yeah, more people have
Yeah.
record players than CD players now.
Not even cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, come to think of it, I don't even know the last time like I had a car with one, but no, oh, no,
Yeah.
I feel that way, like, too, like, Newfound Glory is huge, that's my comfort band forever, and I remember seeing them during, like, a not so good part of my life, and then I recently saw them, and it was, like, one of those moments, too, of, like, I was in such a bad place, like, a couple years ago, and now that I'm in a good place and I saw them, it was just, like, that feeling, too, of, like, emotions, like, wow, like, you've made it through that mental health rut, and, like, now you can, like, still feel, like, that feeling, but in a different way with this band, so can absolutely relate to that.
And there's something really like intimate too, whether it's a CD or a record player, where you're like actually listening to everything they have to say. It feels like if you're listening to like a playlist or something, sometimes it feels like I'm at a networking event or something where I'm like, oh, that was cool. Nice, shake hands and move on to the next one. And when you actually take time, even if it's sometimes it's albums or bands that I know I don't like, and I'll still purposely sit down and listen to the whole album because I feel like that there's just much more. You get a chance to actually hear more of what they're wanting to say, and I find a deeper connection that way. Even if I think on the surface I don't like their music or I'm not a fan or something, it makes a difference giving them the full time. And it's like with a friend or anything, right? Like you actually give them time to say everything they want to say, as opposed to just like asking, how their day's going and like how the weather is and moving on.
Yeah, like, I know people say too, it's, like, obviously, like, a singles time, but for me, I'm like, there's people out there like you're describing now where, like, that's like me. Like, when the new latest Balance and Composure record came out, I sat there that whole day and was like, I want front to back, like, how did they like, why did they place this one here or that one here? And just having that experience and sitting down with a whole record instead of like, I tried not to listen to the singles as much as they were pumping out because I wanted that experience you're talking about. And like, yeah, you can't beat that experience for sure. But I mean, one thing is for sure, we are now, gosh, we're in November basically. Like I know there's October, you got some shows coming up here, a Halloween show. What are you guys looking forward to for the rest of this year? Then maybe if you can talk about it. I know, are you guys working on a new EP? I think I was reading. Like, is that coming out in 2025?
Yeah, we're just gonna do an album. I think we had settled on. We're just gonna say why do an EP? We'll just do an album. We'll just roll out some singles, and yeah, that's the plan for the next music.
Oh,
It will be
awesome.
2025. We don't know when. We have no idea any type of release date for an album, but I think we're working on like a single right now that we're gonna make like our first single off the album, and so we'll announce it. But then we're just without a date so far as the album, but that's our plans.
Awesome. Cause I know I'm like, we're right there. We're right at 2025, which is like wild to think about. I'm like, where did this year go? But and before we let you guys go, because this has been so great, but if someone wants to find you guys, I'll have all the links to find you guys. But if there's someone that just likes to listen to like where to find you, where are the best handles to find you guys?
Everywhere. We have a website, cidtband.com, which will have everything you need. But yeah, also our Instagram. Our Instagram has the website in our bio as well. But you can find us on literally everything from Tidal to Amazon to Spotify to Apple. We don't have everything on Bandcamp right now, but literally everything else but Bandcamp we have.
Awesome. Well, for sure. I'll send people your way. I'll post the links, all that stuff. But thank you guys so much for coming on and wanting to come on and hang out. It's been really great. Like I said, I truly have been looking forward to this one where I was like, yes, like a band I really, really want to push. I want to push them all. But I was just talking to Matt of Troubled Minds.
Yeah,
And I was like, I'm trying to get I forget like why we were talking maybe about his music scene or something. And I'm like, yeah, like it hasn't worked out yet, but we have a date and this and that. And he was excited. He was excited that I was having you guys on too.
he worked sound for us now at a basic music festival. He's in
Oh, him, yeah.
he's in the band Troubled Minds, which is great. He actually worked sound for another show that we did in Arizona. But yeah, for whatever reason, his band, we've never been able to make it work where all of his band was available to play that date. But yeah, I think next time we go, I think we're gonna go in March over to Arizona again. So hopefully we can get him on.
Oh, yeah, no, he was great. And when I brought you up, he was just like, oh, yes. And then like Savings Band too, like their
Yeah,
Savings is another one that I
great.
had on. And he was like, oh, yeah, them too. I'm like, that's crazy. Like these kind of small world thing where like, yeah, he works sound and he mentioned that he works sound. So that's pretty cool that you guys were involved in that small world thing for sure.
Yeah, yeah, he's great. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we have so many random bands in every scene from every little city that are so great. Savings, yeah, they're great. We've known them for a while as well. It's like Thursday Marks Fall from the Albuquerque area as well. You should check them out. You probably like them. If you like Savings, one of the members in Savings is in Thursday Marks Fall as well.
Okay.
They're really good. We played a show with them in Albuquerque. They're killer. But yeah, yeah, it's crazy how many people you just randomly will just meet and connect with and just know from one way or another in music. It's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to put this one out. And you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. I'm like, oh, like it's like almost 9 here, but like it's almost what 6 there. So
Yeah.
but thank you guys so much. And I'll let you know when it comes out for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks.
And all right, guys, that was my conversation with Matt, Max, and Nye of Crossing I's and Dotting T's. Again, you can tell it was just a good energy conversation. And I really appreciate the guys joining me. They were just coming off of playing some shows and they suffered a hit and run as well. Everybody was okay. But as anyone knows, going through that on tour can be tough. And I really appreciate them still taking time for me and coming on this show. And again, I cannot speak highly enough about their music. I love their music so much. And it's always great when I get to feature a band that I love their sound. And I think that there's people that may be sleeping on them. I could say that about so many of the bands on here. But yeah, please go check them out. They're great guys. And I appreciate them again taking the time. And again, there's so many key takeaways for people in bands. I hope you listen to that part that Matt was talking about and what they do, and maybe that can help you. But go give them a check out. Tell me if you love them. I'm sure you will. But as for our show, I will be back next week with a great conversation, and I'm really excited to share that one. Remember, if you're liking our show, even just a little bit, give us a follow, subscribe to the show. It helps us out so much, as well as a positive rating and review. Those things are honestly the best way you can support our show or shows like ours. But yeah, I will see you guys next week with another great conversation. I cannot wait. I cannot believe we're almost at the end of the year and almost at episode 100. But I appreciate you guys listening every week, and I will see you guys next week. All right. Bye, guys.